The thought of a nuclear war is unsettling, but preparing for the unimaginable could mean the difference between survival and devastation. Imagine the world around you suddenly turning into chaos. The blinding flash of light as bombs detonate, shockwaves rumbling through the ground beneath your feet, and a mushroom cloud rising ominously over the horizon. The air, heavy with fear and ash, carries the grim reality of poisoned winds and radioactive fallout. Power grids fail, communication breaks down, and supplies vanish from store shelves in a matter of hours. For most, panic sets in as they realize how unprepared they are for such a catastrophic event. A nuclear war brings with it long-term consequences that extend far beyond the initial blast. From the relentless spread of radiation to the collapse of critical infrastructure, it's a nightmare scenario that no one wants to face unprepared. Yet, history and global tensions remind us that the threat, while remote, is far from impossible. Knowing what to do, how to protect yourself, and which essential steps to take in advance can significantly increase your odds of survival. Preparing for the worst isn't an overreaction. It's your best chance at navigating a landscape reshaped by unimaginable destruction. 1. Understanding target areas. When preparing for a nuclear war, understanding target areas is one of the most critical steps to ensure survival. Knowledge of these target areas allows individuals and families to make informed decisions about where to live, where to seek shelter, and how to plan their emergency responses effectively. The reality of a nuclear conflict is that certain locations, such as military installations, major cities, and critical infrastructure, are far more likely to be targeted than others. By recognizing these high-risk zones, people can enhance their chances of survival through strategic planning and preparation. Primary targets in a nuclear war are locations that hold strategic military and governmental importance. These include missile silos, strategic bomber bases, and naval facilities that house nuclear submarines. For example, places like Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, and Naval Base Kitsap in Washington are all highly probable targets, due to the significant role they play in national defense systems. Similarly, command and control hubs that are vital for military coordination and leadership, such as Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado and the Pentagon in Virginia, are likely to be on the top of an aggressor's list. These facilities represent the backbone of a nation's nuclear response capability, and targeting them can potentially weaken a country's ability to retaliate or mount a defense. Equally important to consider are secondary and tertiary targets. These include major metropolitan areas, commercial ports, oil refineries, nuclear power plants, and other elements of critical infrastructure. Cities that concentrate economic activity and population, such as New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago, are not only symbolic targets, but also serve as logistical and economic hubs. Ports and refineries, on the other hand, hold importance for national energy and trade networks, making their destruction a way to cripple a country's operational capacity. Understanding that these areas could also be targeted highlights the interconnectedness of military, economic, and civilian systems in a nuclear scenario. Recognizing which areas are likely to be hit also helps in choosing where to reside or relocate. Living near a known primary target can significantly reduce the chances of survival due to the immediate devastation caused by a direct strike. For instance, being in close proximity to a military base or command center puts individuals directly in the path of destruction. Relocating to regions that are far from these strategic targets, such as rural and less densely populated areas, can drastically improve survival rates. Resources like strategic relocation provide detailed maps and comprehensive guides for identifying lower-risk areas, empowering families to make safer decisions. While no location can be deemed completely safe in a nuclear conflict, staying informed about target zones is an essential survival strategy. Beyond just identifying target areas, understanding blast zones, radiation fallout patterns, and prevailing winds is equally important. Even if you are not in a primary impact zone, downwind regions can be significantly affected by radioactive fallout. Fallout is particularly dangerous as it spreads through the air, contaminating wide areas and rendering them uninhabitable for prolonged periods. For this reason, it is crucial to evaluate how your location is situated relative to nearby targets and expected fallout trajectories. Planning your shelter and escape routes with these factors in mind could mean the difference between life and death. Additionally, urban areas face heightened risks not just due to proximity to potential targets, but also because they are ill-equipped to handle mass evacuations or provide shelter for millions of residents. Traffic congestion during emergencies could leave people stranded in high-risk areas, and access to resources like food, water, and medical supplies could become severely limited. Even for those who survive the initial blast, the struggle to find clean water, uncontaminated food, and adequate shelter in affected areas will be immense. Deciding to live in a more rural location may help avoid these risks altogether, providing peace of mind in uncertain times. Understanding target areas also plays a critical role in planning emergency shelters. Individuals and families who live in or near potential target zones need to invest in well-designed nuclear shelters. These structures should be equipped with thick walls, air filtration systems, and an adequate stockpile of essential supplies to survive the initial blast, as well as the lingering radiation that follows. However, those residing far from primary targets may be able to rely on improvised or semi-permanent shelters. Regardless of location, plans should be in place to provide protection against fallout for at least 72 hours, which is the critical period in which radioactive particles are most deadly. Lastly, this preparedness step calls for situational awareness and regular updates on geopolitical and domestic developments. The locations considered high-priority targets can change depending on the evolving strategic landscape. Keeping abreast of international tensions and analyzing military and defense activities can help anticipate potential risks. For instance, during periods of rising tension between nuclear-capable nations, individuals in high-risk zones should be prepared to act swiftly by adhering to pre-planned evacuation or sheltering strategies. Understanding target areas is more than just academic knowledge. It is the foundation of any survival plan in a nuclear conflict. By proactively considering the risks associated with living near these strategic locations and acting accordingly, individuals and families can better position themselves to minimize harm and endure the devastating effects of a nuclear war. 4. Protective measures. When preparing to survive a nuclear war, understanding and implementing protective measures is critical to maximizing your chances of survival. The most effective protection comes from secure shelters or bunkers. Deep underground bunkers are specifically designed to provide substantial protection against both the initial blast and subsequent radioactive fallout. These structures are reinforced to withstand extreme pressures from explosions, while layers of packed soil above them act as a shield, significantly reducing exposure to harmful radiation. For those without access to purpose-built bunkers, alternative shelters offer viable means of protection. Basements can serve as a life-saving refuge, especially when gaps and openings are sealed, with plastic sheeting and duct tape to prevent contaminated air from seeping in. Additionally, large brick or multi-story cinder block buildings are a strong option for shelter, provided that people stay as far as possible from external walls and roofs, which are likely to absorb and transmit radiation. Even improvised measures, though less effective, can make a significant difference. For instance, sheltering under heavy tables and stacking books or objects around for added shielding can create a physical barrier to minimize radiation exposure. Another vital component of protection is the immediacy of your response to threats. Upon receiving any missile alert or warning of a nuclear detonation, it is imperative to move indoors immediately. Timeliness in seeking shelter cannot be overstated, as the fallout's intensity is most potent in the first few hours to days after a detonation. Staying indoors, particularly in the innermost parts of a structure, drastically reduces the likelihood of exposure to radioactive particles. Experts recommend staying indoors for at least a few weeks post-detonation if possible, to allow radiation levels to fall to safer thresholds. This extended period indoors is critical because fallout contamination decreases exponentially over time, meaning that the risk reduces significantly during the first hours and days. Preparation, strategic action, and adherence to protective measures can greatly enhance your ability to survive the devastating consequences of a nuclear war. By understanding these survival strategies and implementing sheltering techniques effectively, you can minimize the dangers posed by blasts and radioactive contamination. The goal is to stay aware, act swiftly, and protect yourself and those around you until conditions improve or assistance becomes available. 5. Potassium iodide tablets. Potassium iodide tablets are a vital component in any preparation strategy for surviving a nuclear war. These small yet powerful tablets serve an essential purpose in protecting your thyroid gland from the harmful effects of radioactive iodine, which is released in significant quantities during a nuclear detonation or accident. The thyroid, a vital gland located in the neck, absorbs iodine from the bloodstream. Without proper intervention, the gland can accumulate radioactive iodine, leading to severe health consequences such as thyroid cancer or dysfunction. When taken correctly, potassium iodide tablets work by saturating the thyroid gland with a safe, non-radioactive form of iodine. by filling the gland to its capacity with stable iodine. The body is unable to absorb radioactive variants, effectively neutralizing their harmful potential. However, it's important to note that potassium iodide only protects against radioactive iodine exposure and does not offer protection from other radioactive elements or the broader dangers associated with nuclear fallout. The effectiveness of potassium iodide tablets hinges on timing and dosage. These tablets should ideally be taken prior to or immediately following exposure to radioactive iodine. Taking them too late reduces their effectiveness, as radioactive iodine may have already entered the thyroid. It is essential to follow recommended guidelines from health authorities, as incorrect dosages or misuse can lead to side effects, including gastrointestinal issues or thyroid disruption. Always consult a medical professional or trusted emergency resources to ensure safe use. Acquiring and storing potassium iodide tablets as part of a nuclear preparedness kit is equally important. They are available over the counter in many locations, and it is advisable to purchase them from reputable suppliers. Make sure to store the tablets in a cool, dry place away from sunlight to preserve their effectiveness over time. Keep in mind the expiration date, as outdated tablets may lose their potency and render them ineffective during an actual emergency. While potassium iodide tablets are a critical safeguard, they should not be relied upon as a standalone solution. Pairing them with comprehensive measures such as sheltering in place, evacuation planning, and stockpiling other survival necessities will significantly increase your chances of minimizing harm. Education on their proper use and understanding their limitations are imperative to fully benefit from the protection they offer. By incorporating potassium iodide tablets into your survival plan, you take an important step towards safeguarding your health during nuclear events. Although they may seem like a small precaution, their life-saving potential cannot be overstated when facing the unimaginable dangers of radioactive fallout. 6. Detection of radiation. Radiation detection is a critical aspect of surviving a nuclear war, as it ensures you can monitor your surroundings and safeguard yourself from harmful exposure. Nuclear explosions release immense amounts of radiation, often in the form of fallout, which can cause severe health issues if not properly managed. To effectively detect and measure radiation, two primary tools are indispensable: Geiger counters and dosimeters. A Geiger counter is a handheld device used to measure real-time radiation levels in a particular location or from a specific object. These devices are essential for monitoring your environment during and after nuclear events. With a Geiger counter, you can safely determine areas with lower radiation levels where you may remain for longer periods or evacuate to safer zones. Geiger counters work by detecting ionizing particles and providing readings that gauge the intensity of radiation. This data is pivotal in ensuring your immediate surroundings are within survivable radiation thresholds. On the other hand, dosimeters perform a different but equally important role in radiation detection. A dosimeter helps measure the cumulative radiation exposure an individual has accumulated over time. This long-term monitoring is crucial for understanding whether you or other members of your group have breached safe exposure limits. Prolonged exposure to harmful levels of radiation can result in acute radiation sickness or long-term health complications such as cancer. By tracking these cumulative levels with a dosimeter, you can assess when it's necessary to shelter in a radiation-free zone or seek immediate medical attention. While these devices are invaluable, it is vital to understand their vulnerabilities during a nuclear scenario. Both Geiger counters and dosimeters are susceptible to electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, which can be generated by high-altitude nuclear detonations or ground-based nuclear explosions. EMPs can incapacitate electronic devices, rendering them unusable precisely when you need them most. To ensure the functionality of your radiation detection equipment, it is imperative to store them in EMP-resistant enclosures such as Faraday cages or specialized EMP-proof bags. These protective measures shield electronics from the intense electromagnetic fields generated by an EMP, preserving their utility when the devices are removed post-pulse. Radiation detection is not just about owning the tools, but also understanding how to use them effectively in high-pressure scenarios. Familiarize yourself with device operations prior to any crisis, and always have replacement batteries or alternative power sources readily available. By ensuring you have reliable, protected tools to measure radiation, you significantly increase your chances of surviving the invisible but deadly threat of nuclear fallout. Preparation, proper equipment, and practice will give you the means to make informed, life-saving decisions in the aftermath of a nuclear catastrophe. 7. Power sources and electromagnetic pulse, EMP protection. Power continuity and protection from electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, are critical considerations for surviving a nuclear war. A nuclear detonation at high altitudes or strategically designed EMP weapons could generate pulses capable of disabling modern electronics and power grids. To safeguard against this, a combination of backup power options and EMP protection measures is necessary. Backup power options are essential for maintaining electricity in the aftermath of a nuclear event. Solar generators emerge as an efficient and portable choice, capable of providing off-grid energy without relying on fossil fuels. However, they remain vulnerable to EMP damage. To mitigate this risk, storing solar generators and other sensitive electronic equipment in a Faraday cage grounded enclosure made from conductive materials can shield them from EMP effects. For those aiming for long-term energy resilience, larger setups like solar panel arrays or wind turbines are advantageous. These systems can generate substantial energy over extended periods but require advanced preparation and installation. Nuclear winter considerations pose additional challenges to energy generation. Theoretical models of nuclear winter predict the potential for widespread atmospheric debris from fallout, which could block or severely limit sunlight for months or years. This would render many solar power systems significantly less effective or even unusable in the long term. To counter this, portable wind turbines present a viable alternative. These devices can harness energy from wind, which is less dependent on sunlight. However, they can be prohibitively expensive, requiring substantial upfront investment. Additionally, other backup options like hand-crank dynamo generators or fuel-powered generators may provide short-term solutions, though they come with their own limitations such as limited fuel supply or manual operation requirements. Preparation is the key to overcoming the dual threats of a power outage and EMP damage. By diversifying power sources and safeguarding essential equipment, survivors can maintain a degree of reliability and resilience in their energy supply. Combining proven EMP protection techniques with well-planned energy systems can make a significant difference in withstanding the harsh realities of a post-nuclear war environment. 8. Long-term food production. Long-term food production systems are a critical aspect of survival after a nuclear war. With the outdoors potentially hazardous due to radiation fallout, traditional farming may not be an option for an extended period. Indoor growing systems such as aquaponics and hydroponics can serve as vital solutions to produce food sustainably in a post-apocalyptic world. Aquaponic systems are particularly valuable as they combine fish farming, aquaculture, with plant cultivation, hydroponics, creating a symbiotic environment. Fish waste provides natural nutrients for plant growth, while the plants filter and clean the water, creating a self-sustaining cycle. These systems can supply both protein from fish and fresh vegetables, ensuring a balanced diet in an otherwise challenging environment. However, aquaponic systems require specific equipment such as LED grow lights, reliable pumps, and temperature regulation tools, all of which will need power. Of note, a steady energy source, such as solar panels or batteries, should be planned to maintain these systems effectively. Establishing and maintaining indoor growing systems post-fallout can be difficult without prior preparation. The setup requires knowledge of system mechanics, water quality management, and plant care. Additionally, these systems are sensitive to disruptions, and any failure in maintenance could lead to losing both food sources and months of hard work. Therefore, survival plans must include careful research, training, and the stockpiling of necessary materials such as tools, seeds, water filters, and nutrient supplies. Practicing how to build and manage such systems beforehand greatly enhances the odds of success in the long run. Although aquaponics and hydroponics offer substantial benefits, they are not the only options. Sprouting seeds indoors, cultivating mushrooms, and using vertical gardening kits can also provide smaller but consistent yields of food with fewer resources required. Diversifying food production methods increases resilience and helps ensure survival even if one system fails. Ultimately, long-term food production is not just about equipment or technology, but also about adaptability and preparation. Survivors must develop detailed plans, acquire the necessary skills, and consider their environment when choosing the most suitable strategies. By prioritizing indoor growing systems and exploring alternative methods, individuals can address one of the most pressing challenges of extended survival following a nuclear war. 9. Entertainment and mental well-being. Maintaining mental well-being during an extended sheltering period is as essential as ensuring physical safety. Isolation and limited social interactions can lead to stress, anxiety, and restlessness, making it vital to prioritize activities that stimulate the mind and emotions in a positive way. This is especially true during long periods of confinement. such as those necessitated by a nuclear fallout. Entertainment can act as a powerful tool to combat boredom, reduce psychological strain, and provide a sense of normalcy in an otherwise stressful situation. Firstly, having a variety of entertainment options prepared is key. Books, puzzles, and board games are compact and require no electricity, making them ideal for prolonged sheltering with limited resources. They help keep your mind engaged, encouraging critical thinking and creativity while offering a welcome distraction from the surrounding circumstances. Including a mix of genres or types ensures there's something available for different preferences or moods, catering to everyone in your shelter. If you have access to battery-powered or hand-cranked devices, consider bringing along a portable radio or music player. Music and storytelling programs can be uplifting in moments of despair and can provide auditory relaxation. Similarly, if power is available through solar chargers or other means, load digital devices with offline movies, ebooks, and podcasts beforehand. These can serve as long-lasting sources of comfort, inspiration, and information during uncertain times. Group activities also contribute significantly to mental well-being. Spending time with your group playing interactive games, sharing stories, or learning new skills can foster camaraderie and alleviate feelings of isolation. Interaction helps remind everyone that they are not alone, creating emotional stability and mutual support throughout the ordeal. Finally, consider creative outlets such as drawing, writing, or crafting. These activities allow individuals to process emotions constructively and stay mentally active. By consciously redirecting attention away from immediate surroundings, you encourage resilience and a sense of control over your environment. Cultivating positive distractions through entertainment helps ensure that mental well-being is sustained, providing vital psychological support during a nuclear emergency. Conclusion: preparing to survive a nuclear war is a monumental challenge that requires foresight, adaptability, and determination. From securing reliable shelter and addressing immediate survival needs such as food, water, and medical supplies, to long-term considerations like sustainable food production and mental well-being, each aspect plays a crucial role in improving the chances of survival. Success lies in meticulous planning, acquiring essential knowledge, and equipping yourself with practical tools to face a range of scenarios. While the prospect of a nuclear war is daunting, thorough preparation empowers individuals to confront the uncertainties head-on, prioritizing safety, resilience, and adaptability in even the most adverse conditions. Effective preparation not only increases personal survival odds, but also fosters the ability to rebuild and adapt in a post-apocalyptic world, offering hope amid the chaos.